reached out to a lot of local designers. Schedule-wise, what we were working with, it was tough to secure a designer. And then I just remember, out of the blue, I was like, oh wow, I remember this guy, Brandon Keel. I haven't worked with him in years. I gave him a shout, and he just happened to be available.
Yeah, and that was really rewarding, because it's like when you write something, or if you happen to be directing, one's hope is that what finally winds up on screen is somewhat close to what you describe, but sometimes you just get pleasantly surprised and it winds up looking completely different, but better.
I saw from the morning when it looked like just an abandoned schoolroom to the afternoon where the floors were painted and the walls are painted, and then I'm seeing rugs going down and pillows going out and things stacked up, and suddenly it looks like I'm in Afghanistan with all those guns there.
Hopefully you bring those types of resources, a production designer that can add value by virtue of his or her own imagination and life experiences. They might have a completely different point of view. And in case of production design, yeah, I definitely wasn't disappointed, because it just looked phenomenal. He did a great job.
What he brought to the table was pretty amazing. Like, he really stepped up this production. He brought a lot of his own resources, a lot of his team to the table. I was able to give him young guys with no work experience at all, who were just there for the experience. And it's amazing. He turned these guys into a full-fledged art crew that put up some really impressive sets in a very short amount of time in some really tough conditions. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about Brandon.
He was amazing with bringing your vision to reality and researching what border crossings actually look like.
Right, but for the most part, you go into this thing in the blind with regards to the people you work with. You just never worked with them before, so it's really it's one of those things. It's sort of like the trust factor needs to ramp up very quickly, and a lot of times, sight unseen, you're giving a lot of trust away and stuff like that. So it's an interesting dynamic,
Right.
Yeah, and that was pretty cool, because it's like I remember driving in that morning to the set, and of course, the first thing I'm going to do is get my coffee, and then talk to my production crew and whatnot. About an hour and a half later, I come out to the front of the car wash, and all of a sudden I see Mexico on the top. I see the lights. I see cars that are already staged, somewhat, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, okay, we have a Mexico border.
We have border.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that's one of many locations with regards to prepping that wound up evolving to serve the story. In this angle here, I have the hero car, the burgundy SUV in this lane. And pull back and boom up. We can still do that. All right, let's do that.
Finding the town of Guadalupe right next to Tempe. I mean, Guadalupe and Tempe, Arizona border each other, and there was a homeowner in Tempe that was right across from the park where we had our closing scene. So, and the homeowner was willing to let us use her house. So we used her house and the park, and that was one day shoot, and then going over another mile to Guadalupe, and with the Mercado and the car wash and the building that was able to be used for both Afghanistan and the Mexican place where Ronnie's interrogated. Every bit of sweat that you see on the actors is real. We never once got sprayed with a squirt bottle. Doing the makeup was a challenge, and also for Ryan McCoy, who did our special effects makeup. Some of the latex that might stick to somebody's body under normal circumstances or be very easy to mold.
Yeah, practical effects person had a real tough time keeping the appliances on the skin appliances, the scars. Yeah, that was pretty tough, and had an effect on even our cameras. The cameras weren't used to taking that kind of heat. It was the hottest week of the year we shot.
Yeah, producing films in the summertime in Arizona, your number one concern, or the first thing across your mind, is how much water are we going to use. This is 6 days. We didn't know, but we ended up having 6 record high days in a row. 117 degrees every day for 6 days.
That's how we cool down in Arizona.
So yeah, our water and ice, I would say probably doubled what I was budgeting for, believe it or not. Like, and I was budgeting a lot of water. I mean, I'm used to shooting in the summertime. And we ran out 3 McDonald's out of their ice in one day.
So you had ice packs for the cameras, right?
Ice packs for the cameras. We had full-time PAs running ice water, ice towels back and forth throughout the day.
Right,
So,
ice towels. Now we had buckets of, or big giant bowls of water with ice in them, and they kept towels in there. All of the crew members had an ice towel around their neck or on their head, like a hat, and just trying to keep cool. And at some points when I would get overheated, because we didn't want the costume to be wet, I would have the ice towels on my wrists, on my pulse points.
I had EMTs called twice to the set. One time I had McKee Grip go down from the heat, and he's just a tough guy. These guys, it's hard to get them to slow down in the heat. I started having to create these mandatory, or at least one guy in G&E had to stop for 10 minutes and sit in the air conditioning. Like, we had to start changing this up. And they would fight me on it. These guys are just hell-bent on working.
Yeah, hats off to our crew. I think pretty heroic stuff going on out there on
Right.
set. So.
With it we had 2 air conditioning units, portable air conditioning units, that of course had to be shut off anytime we were filming. So they could only be on a little bit. And at one point our production was held up because the character of Renee, Elias Castillo, he had so much sweat on his shirt that it had to be dried. Air dried. So he had to stand in front of that air conditioning unit to get his shirt dry before we could continue.
Pulling off. My shirt was too wet. I'm holding up production at the moment with my shenanigans and my sweat.
Just a sweaty guy.
Wish I had a no sweat clause. What the hell did we do hire this guy? Oh, that's awesome.
One of the sides. I'll just pull the strip on the side. Okay. I'll let it come around. Oh yeah.
The amount of water that we drank. I kept on asking our producer Rose, how much water did we drink? I would imagine it's got to be at least 1,000 gallons for the 6 days we were there. To me it seems. I don't know. It's just a lot of water. I mean, I had a bottle of water in my hand nonstop.
Right, and electrolyte solution. We had electrolyte solution.
And I still found myself not having to go to the bathroom all day.
Oh yeah.
It's like you're just sweating up.
It was just hot.
Yeah, it's just hot.
We're on the verge of throwing the actress into the wall. The wall has been padded with a foam crash pad. We have breakaway shelves. It's actually soundboard. Won't support her weight. In the crash zone, we have sugar glass bottles. We have a few plastic bottles which will crush, and hopefully everything goes well. And we get this in just a couple takes before we go through all our sugar glass.
We started at 6 o'clock in the morning on that final day. And then it was not until 10 o'clock at night when we finally did that final stunt. And we've already described how incredibly hot it was. And there was so much physical action, and we were sweating so much. And so some of the blocks that in rehearsal had been a solid block and stayed, we blocked each other, and we were so sweaty we were slipping off each other. And plus there's the one part where I hit him across the face with the stick, and I went to swing really hard and hit him with the stick, and my legs went out from under me. And what was really different for me from rehearsing it to actually doing it, okay? Because most of the time I rehearsed with the fight choreographer and his team, and it was only the last day or so that Alex and I went. But these were in very, very controlled conditions when we did our rehearsal.
Safety was first, like you said. Yeah.
And we practiced the throws just up against a padded wall. And then the shelves were built, and we had to make sure that I would land in the proper place. Every single time I was thrown, I had to get in the right spot. And it was partially being thrown and partially me jumping to the right spot. And
the trick is to make it not look like that.
Yeah, exactly. And then when we actually did the stunt for the camera, It was at the end of our final day of shooting.
But I kind of like to think that that added some authenticity. To
Oh,
this,
yeah.
you know, because it's like, it was hot. You know, you guys were getting tired, and you know, we were beating you guys up. We were doing take after take after take. Choreography was that was like the that to us was like the marquee thing, because he trained for what, you know, 6 weeks or something like that.
Right. So from 6 weeks of training in a controlled atmosphere and working with Raj Suri to get the knife just right and get his, you know, be able to knee him.
Right.
And hit the back of his head without really hitting the back of his head, and all that. We took a lot of time, and then to see it on film was wonderful, and to see what Alex and I worked on, and then see that come to life on film. It goes by too fast for all the work we put into it. It's like Thanksgiving dinner. You work all those hours and then it's over.
We still have leftovers though.
Yeah, and this is on film. We get to remember it forever.
Exactly.
I like that.